looking forward to a day at the track. I thought I was looking pretty suave and debonair, all dressed up in my best racing black. I saw a girl wearing real tight cut-off denim. She was alone and looked like she might like a date. I gave her my best body language with my favorite pickup line. She shook her head and then she said, let's get something straight. Girls like fast cars too, so excuse me if we obstruct your view. We don't need to be accompanied to enjoy this place. Believe me when I tell you that we come here for the race. We love speed, we love power, and there's more than just a few. Girls like fast cars too. Yeah, that's what she told me. With my ego bruised, I told her, hey, it's no big deal, I'm cool, let the show begin. 43 laps later, I was so into it.
Dustin Boney, Prime Racing. This is a new deal, seminar like this. I don't know that I've ever seen a race shop put something on like this.
Yeah, we're just trying to get new customers in here. And anytime you offer anything for free, people are going to come. Yeah. So, we're just trying to get new faces in here. We got a good customer base. We're at this for our second full season here, and starting our third full season, but we've been in business for 2 years. And, so we got a good customer base. We've slowly built that up, and now we're just, today we're going to go over, it'll be something pretty brief because we're going to cover B mods and A mod stuff. We're going to cover various classes, so it's hard to just pinpoint one certain thing. We're going to go over a scale session, start to finish, and then I've talked to a lot of people already today about probably learn more in 5 minutes of one-on-one time with me instead of me standing up here for an hour talking. So, but we definitely want to make sure that everybody, feels like they got what they came for.
I was going to say, and I understand it's not going to be a Q&A, so like you say, this one-on-one, they can lay it out there to you what their problem is in particular and kind of get an answer. But, I think what I've heard from racers over the years is that no matter what chassis you end up getting, a lot of times it comes down to that support that you get from that chassis builder or whatever that determines, one, how you do on the track, and two, how happy you are with the chassis that you get. And I know you, Dustin, you're a personable guy. I've known you for several years, and it seems like you're really good at that, being able to convey that information that they need when they need it.
Yeah, a lot of business owners that's in the situation I'm in, parts, they try to just sell a part that's going to build half a second into your program, and that's not always the case. It's about applying what you have and then putting the knowledge with the parts you have. So, this is what I enjoy doing. I enjoy helping people, and I like making people faster. That's what we did last year with Mason Daughters and the B-Mod program and going around with him. I get a lot of enjoyment out of that. I get a lot of satisfaction out of helping people. And so that's what we're kind of, here today to, hopefully answer some people's questions in a roundabout way. We're not going to do a question and answer for the whole, seminar because I would, or a day. So we're just going to kind of, like I said, I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time doing it because I'd like to get around and speak with everybody and answer those one-on-one questions that people have.
One of the things that I think everybody will probably appreciate about this is that opportunity, like you say, to talk one-on-one with you. But have you ever had anybody, when you've been at the track with them and helping them, they come off the track and they say, oh, that's how it works?
Well, sort of. And I don't know if that's a positive or a negative, what you're getting at. But, I would say that we have a pretty good percentage of, positive responses. I mean, we seem to do, the things I do for people, it seems to always work out for them. A lot of that's just being there one-on-one, watching them on the racetrack, coming back, looking at the race car, and just getting a hand on the race car. When you get your hand on somebody's race car and you've watched them drive and you've watched the car react, that's when you can, you can go in and make the correct changes.
I know, speaking for myself, and probably I'm not a big race car driver, but I race little cars. But there's probably not too many drivers in this room that can't drive good, but they can always drive better when the car works the way it's supposed to. That's what I always have said all along is you got a lot of good drivers, but boy, if the car isn't working, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and that's my brother-in-law Mike Higley and myself, we talk about that a lot, where I feel in my position I can make somebody a lot faster, just by working on their race car and helping them just a little bit as far as driving. Where a lot of guys aren't near as bad a race car driver as sometimes they go out and seem to be because their cars aren't set up right. And that's where I, really want to kind of reach out to people and let them know that I'm here for that. And I'd be more than happy to help everybody.
If anybody wants to get in contact with Prime Racing, give us an email, a phone number, or something that they can contact you.
My cell phone number is 913-290-1146. Email address is just primeracingproducts@gmail.com. And we also have a website, primeracingproducts.com. Throughout those three contacts, you can usually get a hold of us pretty easy.
I just want to let you know that you've got a little nephew that if he hadn't have missed last Saturday racing RC, he would have won the points in the 13.5 sprint class. Now, this is 8 years old, if I remember.
Yes. He's same age as my oldest daughter, yeah.
8 years old. The Bonies are coming back. There's one in the works right now. But anyway, I just thought I'd let you know. But Dustin, thanks a lot for having me up here today. I appreciate this. A lot of guys, I see and know here. And, this is a win-win deal for everybody. So thanks a lot, buddy.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming up here. I appreciate what you do for our sport. You go around and do the things you do, and you don't ask for any money. And, and hopefully, there's enough people out there that help take care of you and do things for you. But we appreciate what you do. And, I hope everybody walks away from here today, not feeling like, they didn't get what they came for. So, and I hope everybody leaves here happy.
Okay. Dalton Kirk here at the Prime Racing Open House. Dalton, third year in the modifieds, always room for improvement. I don't know how you finished last year, but, you're out there giving it a good try and running up in the front.
Yeah, at the end of last year, we bought a GRT, and we brought it up here to Dustin. He worked it over and went and ran that Turkey Classic, and we made the show out of 50 cars, and it ran real well. I'm very proud of what Dustin did with the car.
I was going to say, kind of out here in the woods a little bit, but once you get here, why, you're going to find something when you do get here. But Dustin with a lot of experience, a lot of know-how, so he's going to be able to put a lot of input in on this. And what's the plans for this year?
We're just going to run the GRT until hopefully we don't break it. But if we do, then we'll have to move to our backup car. But just finishing races, because you got to finish in order to finish first. So we're going to try to just finish races and hopefully win a couple on the way.
I was going to say, a lot of it, especially in that A-mod class, is getting that seat time too, because you just can't make up for that in any other way other than just getting out there and running the darn thing. But what do you like about the GRT? Did you have anything besides the GRT before you got one? And if you like to say, what do you like about the GRTs?
I ran a TRE the past 2 years, and then, like I said, at the end of last year, we bought a GRT. And when we went and ran it, it turned a lot better and just worked better for my driving style. It's a lot of fun. We're going to go down to Humboldt March 1st and on the 8th because they have practice there. So go there and hope, get back into the racing season and have a lot of fun.
Going to be a regular Lakeside again, or are you going to move out just a little bit?
Hopefully we're going to run Lakeside a little more than we did last year because we split our time with there in Humboldt. And then bounce around, I think, on Saturdays and maybe go to like Warrensburg, Wheatland, and go to Heartland Park again and just bounce around a little bit.
I think everybody's looking forward to that, going to Warrensburg this year, because we missed it for a couple of years. And of course, there's some big money on the line down there. All I can say is, Dalton, have a good time this year, and hope things go well for you.
All right, thank you.
Randall Shiff, points champion here a year or so ago up at Heartland Park in the pure stock, moved up to B mods last year. What's going to be the plans here so far for this year?
I got a brand new 2014 SB, the only one he made this year. Looking really forward to it. We're going to be chasing the Ironman, and then when we're off from that, big shows in Lakeside.
I know you're connected here with Prime Racing. Dustin helping you out last year with the B mod. Man, it's got to be a good opportunity for a racer to be able to come to somebody like that's had the experience that Dustin's had and get some of that information, plus understand quite a part selection.
Oh, it's a great place to be. The cool thing I'm connected with them is through Mike Higley, and I've known him since I started racing back in 2012. They've helped me out, and then I got his crew chief out of retirement a couple years ago, so got him last year, been helping us out, and then getting all of our parts. Been getting parts every week for the last 2 months, getting ready for the new season, so we helped them out quite a bit too.
I was going to say, this is kind of downtime for racing, but still it's not, because a lot of people are, like you say, getting everything ready for the upcoming season, and this is kind of a unique deal, I think, having the opportunity to get to hang out with everybody and meet some old friends. Of course, some of the people, like during the summer, you don't have the time to actually stop and talk to, where here you can kind of catch up with them and get caught up. And, of course, Dustin's going to put on a little seminar here later on. But anyway, Randall, hope the year for you coming up is going to be a good one. And don't get up to Heartland Park a lot. I probably ought to go more, because it is good racing up there.
I won't be there very much this year. We kind of left there middle of last year and started racing Lakeside and just kind of fell in love with up there. Really good people to be around. You got Brad Smith, you got Mike Higley when he's racing. We want to be the best. You got to beat the best to be the best. So that's kind of where we're chasing, and then just the Ironmans bouncing around. And of course, Deer Creek at the end of the year, do the Jamboree again. We did that last year. Had a really good year there. It's just gonna be kind of bouncing around. No Heartland Park unless it's an Ironman. So we like our equipment too much to race there, and we'll just be chasing where we want to be racing this year. No points, if we do anything, we'll be chasing the Ironman.
Okay, Randall, go for it, man.
Appreciate it, man. Take care of yourself.
Dean Galvin, Lakeside regular. Dean, is it going to be the same campaign this year? You're going to be out there at Lakeside going at it on that half mile?
Yeah, we're still going to be out there. We're going to have 2 B mods and an A mod.
Going to say, your boy going to be racing there too?
My oldest son is racing in the A mods, and me and Chase are going to race B mods.
Oh, wow. What's the connection you guys have got here with Prime Racing?
We know Dustin and Blythe, and come out to learn a lot of, like he said, from a racer to a racer, and he's helped us out in several different things. Timmy has bought a few things from him here and there, and he's just been a great help to us. It's another great supplier that this area needs. We need more right here, so we don't have to go to catalogs and order everything from out of state.
I was going to say, the more competition there is on parts, probably going to be better for everybody.
Brings that part price down. Yeah. And plus, him and TC do build a very quality car, and they've been very successful on the racetracks. I can't remember a time I didn't see the 22 car running up front.
I have to agree with that. Answer me this: what other things are we going to discuss here today? I understand there's going to be a seminar later on. Do you know anything about what that's going to be?
Showing some things that what him and Mike Higley do on a regular basis of their checklist, what they do on a weekly basis of what they go through, and they check on the car and recheck and stuff like that. And then he's going to show us some basic setup things and some changes that you can make for different conditions that he's learned through the years.
I was going to say, I don't know how many racers I've had tell me that a lot of times them races are won in the garage, depending upon, the maintenance and stuff that you take care of on the car and having it ready when you get to the track.
Well, definitely. You could tell from my year last year, right from about the middle to the end, I was braking almost every night. And we had some issues, some family issues going on and stuff, and wouldn't have been for my oldest son, the car wouldn't have made it to the track. But there was a lot of maintenance that wasn't done to my car, and that was the reason. And we're correcting all that this year, and we're gonna have cars prepared a little better this year. We're gonna come to the racetrack and win some races.
Once again, Dean Galvin, B-Mod racer at Lakeside, going to have, what'd you say, 2 or 3 cars you got to go?
I have 3 cars. We went out and bought a 52-foot hauler to haul all 3 of them to the racetrack.
All I can say is it sounds like you're going to be real busy, so have a lot of fun and enjoy it.
Thank you very much. We plan on it.
Got one of the most successful B-Mod drivers here in the Kansas City area, Mike Higley. Mike, you don't get out every week, but boy, when you're out there, you know, you're always one of the guys with going to be up front, and I've got the camera on because I think, well, even if you're in the back, I'm thinking, well, Mike's going to get up there. But it's got to be great to, as you say, be in the family with the Boney Bunch. That's all I'm going to call it, but with Dustin in particular.
Yeah, it's we both married in. It's really funny, you know. Dustin grew up in a racing family. I grew up in a racing family. We married into the Deckman racing family. So expectations and lots of speed and good secrets. And Dustin, coming from the modified background, really helped my program. I worked for him in 2009. And it completely changed my modified program. And then having old Papa D, Billy Deckman, in my corner doesn't hurt as well. He can see more from 100 foot away on how to make a car go fast than anybody I've ever met.
I notice he's around in the pits, kind of used to help Dustin a lot. Now it seems like he helps you out quite a bit. But like you say, to have that experience, I mean, asphalt, dirt, you name it, I think the guy's done it. And seems to have quite an eye, like you say, on the setups, but man, that's got to be just a tremendous thing to have him around.
It's huge, and my car owner now was a car owner of Billy's in the past. 80% of the sponsors that are on my car were Billy's sponsors in the past, so Billy has just been instrumental and really a game changer for everything that my program's all about. It's great to have him there. Lane, my son, turning 2, and all Dustin and Blythe's girls in the pits. It's. I grew up racing as a family when we went go-kart racing with my mom and dad and little brother, and I feel like it's just a natural extension to my married-in family.
Yeah. You going to be back with the Razor this year?
No, we actually bought a GRT from Dustin and TC, so we look forward to putting that thing on the racetrack. We really felt like we had bought an IMCA car a few years ago, and it was really competitive no matter what. Feel like the USRA guys kind of got the leg up on us last year. We were still very fast on the IMCA side, but we did struggle a little bit on the Outlaw side. We were competitive, but we didn't have the wins that we wanted to. Dustin proved last year with Mason Daughters as they went through the season how fast that was. I watched the other customers that Dustin worked on and the speed that he added, and it was just a no-brainer for us that we needed to step up our game, and the GRT was where it was at.
Do you think, and not in any way do I think you were inferior or behind, but could this be that little extra bit where you might be able to dominate that old Brad Smith?
Brad is tough, and I don't think even with a new car and a new motor program, I don't think anybody's going to dominate Brad, but the goal is just to even her up a little bit more. I mean, Brad is at the top of his game, and he is absolutely, the National Point showed it. He is the representative from our part of the country when it really comes to the B-Mods, and at the end of the year, we added the motor, but we were on a different chassis. We ran neck and neck with him. Now I'm going to add the GRT. I really hope that's a little extra that I bit to where I can at least make it tougher on him. I think Brad's still going to get his fair share, but I want him to just have an equal share and maybe not take them all.
I agree with that. It's good for racing, but you guys have such a friendly sportsmanship between the two of you, and I think the fans really enjoy that, and all I can say is hope the season goes good for you, and be interesting to see how the GRT does. Mike, have fun, man.
Will do. Thank you for coming out. Really appreciate it, and be an awesome season.
We got a guy from Thunder Hill here with us, Jesse Schatz. Jesse, not the best year last year, but, always look forward to this year and getting out there and doing it again.
Yes, sir. We're going to run Thunder Hill again. Plan on being there weekly as much as the wife and the pocketbook allow us to. We might venture to Atchison once or twice and maybe to Hayes there at the end of the year.
I was going to say, Thunder Hill, man, that is a big, wide racetrack. Like I was talking to the owner out there in Hayes, actually. Went out for the show that they had out there, and I told him, to me, it's kind of like the super speedway that we've got around here of dirt, because, man, lots of banking, just a lot of speed. That kind of the way you see it? I mean, you were talking about racing at two other tracks, and I can't remember, Hayes and somewhere else, but in Atchison, which is, man, I mean, that's a little bitty bull ring. That's got to be a big difference there.
It's very big, especially going from, Atchison Friday night to Thunder Hill Saturday night. I mean, completely different setup, completely different gear. I mean, it's it's way different, and there's a lot of speed at Thunder Hill, like you said. So
That's going to keep you busy, man. I've never been able to figure that out. Guy go from little old bull ring like that. I mean, is it a major deal suspension-wise, or just change the gear in the rear?
Oh, usually you change a gear, maybe a shock, maybe a spring. Not a whole lot different, but I mean, there's difference. Yeah.
And the same, like you say, the same thing again this year. Pretty much Thunder Hill.
Yeah, we're gonna run Thunder Hill weekly. Mike and Pam have been nothing but good to us up there, so we're going to continue to support them and IMCA. And then, like I said, we'll probably venture to Hayes at the end of the year and do the fall national thing.
That's a pretty neat race. I've made it out there one time and really did enjoy it. And, man, I mean, it's the best of the best around here. Plus, they usually get some guys from Nebraska, Iowa. Really, really good race. But what's your connection with Prime here? I understand you know Dustin. He kind of helps out a little.
Yeah, when I drove for the Henrys a couple years ago, we got to know him pretty well and bought a lot of parts from him. And he's done some work on a sport mod I used to own, and they're just real great people. They're here to help the racer, and they're for the racer, and you just couldn't ask for better people to deal with.
If you're going to Thunder Hill, folks, Jesse will be there. Jesse, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thanks, sir. Appreciate it, man.
B-Mod driver from Thunder Hill here, Dustin Christ. Dustin, how did your year go last year up there at Thunder Hill?
Last year at Thunder Hill, we only ran there, I'd say, half the season or so. It was hit and miss early on. We changed the rear clip of the car last year, so we were kind of starting from scratch. At the end of the year, things really progressed very well. The last two times there on the regular point season, we finished in the top three both nights. Thunder on the Hill, we started the night out with bad luck, broke a transmission, pulling out for hot laps, thrashed to get the car back together, started in the back of the second B main, transferred to the A, started 22nd or 23rd, and ran up to 6th in the A main that night. So the end of the year progressed really well. We were happy with that. Looking forward to this season, getting back over there and getting dirty.
From the way it sounds your season went last year, a deal like Prime Racing might be important because, man, if you're braking a lot, they got a pretty good parts supply here from what I understand, and, of course, the knowledge that Dustin has, why it's all got to work together. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, being based out of St. Joe, it's pretty convenient for us to come right out here and get parts. Like I say, he's helped us out with tires and wheels and this, that, and the other, so it's really convenient to be 15 minutes away and be able to get what you need and get back to the garage and get it put back on the car. So
I was going to say, St. Joe probably doesn't have that many race car parts places, does it?
There's one, but we'll come here.
I think I know who you mean. I just thought of that. I can't remember the name, but anyway. What about be back for Thunder Hill? Are going to spread out a little bit more this year, or what are you looking for?
We'll run Thunder Hill for the biggest part of the season. We're talking about trying to venture up north, go to Eagle, Nebraska. I haven't been there since I was a little kid, and I'd really like to go up there and do some racing. I was actually talking to some buddies about maybe trying to go up and do the Harris Clash this year, so we'll just kind of see how things pan out. If the season starts good and we got a race car come, July and August, we'll look at doing some of those races like that. So just play it by ear and go.
I was going to say, by July or August, sometimes you're so tired of going where you were, you want to get on a new track, try something different.
Yeah, like I say, we want to do some different stuff this year. We've talked about it the past 2 years, just things haven't played out. We're really looking forward to doing something different. Really like racing at Thunder Hill. It's a fun facility to race at. The Concretes have really cleaned it up. But we want to do some different stuff and venture out there, and there's a lot of competition up north. We want to see if we can hang with those guys.
I was going to say, Nebraska and Iowa, you can't get it much tougher up there, especially in modified class, than up that way, or even go further north. It might even get worse. But anyway, buddy, have a good time next year and enjoy the season.
Thank you very much.
First off, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming. Kind of did this deal because I feel a lot of you guys didn't really know what we did here. Prime Racing, we got into business about 2 years ago. Started selling parts and kept getting phone calls about working on people's race cars and doing fabrication work. So got into that side of things, and everything's kind of taken off for us. We just have a very wide variety of things we do, and that's what we're going to kind of let you guys know about today. Hope everybody got around and got food. If you didn't, feel free to, after this is done, get over and get you guys some food. You guys are more than welcome to stay as long as you want. Questions, I'm going to try and get around to everybody in the room. I know that's about impossible, but I'd like to spend a little bit of one-on-one time with everybody here. That way, I'm not going to open this up to question and answer at the end of the deal, but you know, I'd be more than happy to answer anybody's questions. If not, I can give you my cell phone number. I believe it's on the form right here you guys got. So you guys are more than welcome to call me on my cell phone anytime, and I'd be more than happy to answer you guys any questions you guys have. So if you bring back on the back of your guys' setup sheets, if you did not get these, just let us know. We have plenty more up here. 2-link and 4-link stuff for B-Mod and A-Mod guys. So if you guys bring this back to do a scale session with us, we'll give you guys 10% off on a scale session. B-Mods usually takes about 3 hours. A-Mods are about 4 to 5 hours, and we charge $50 an hour. So give you guys 10% off to get you guys up here and try and help you guys out. My objective, shock specials today, guys. Anything on 6 shock packages, we've got $50 off and then free shipping. What we do is, everything I do is custom built. So I can't have shocks on the shelf and say, here's a set of shocks that's going to work for your race car. Because everybody drives different, every car is different, where you guys race at's different. So I try to work with you guys as a customer, and I work with my shock guy, Andy Eckridge, Precision Performance. Me and him work real well together, and we try and build you guys a shock package that will work for you and not just some Joe Blow shock package off the shelf. So we've got that going on. We got 10 to 15% off our safety equipment. And then obviously you guys can see what else we kind of have here as far as tires, wheels, some other things. Any other specials? Yeah, be more than happy to do what we can to help you guys out. So, you know, I'm not here to push parts on guys. I know a lot of guys in our business will sell you a part and say, here's a half a second. I believe that I would just like to get my hands on your guys' cars and work with what you got. And then if you guys need parts on down the road, you know, then we might be able to help you guys out and get some nicer parts on your guys' cars. So we also do tire prep, grinding and grooving tires. That's what we consider our tire prep. We'll take new tires, or if a guy wants to bring us used tires, we do that too. We grind and groove tires for $25 a piece. Some guys just don't have the equipment to do it, and we have the equipment to do it in a quick manner. So we offer that. Obviously, we scale race cars in-house, or I will go to customers' houses. I don't have a problem doing that. There's just a small fee for me traveling down the road to do that. At-track consultations. You guys are more than happy to hire me to go help you. You know, $300 is what I get for a night to go to the racetrack with you. That might sound like a lot, but if you go and you struggle every night with your car, it's not set up right. I don't know how much money it costs you guys to go race every night, but you add that up in a few nights, that might pay off in a hurry. So that's something we do. Obviously in-house we do a lot of fabricating work, anything sheet metal stuff, front end updates, switching cars over. A lot of the B-Mod stuff's really taken off. We do a lot of conversions from A-Mods to B-Mods. That's been keeping us busy here for the last year. Have a little bit of used parts that kind of varies. You know, that's just kind of what we get in. You know, we have a little bit to choose from over there. You guys are more than happy to go through that stuff. I'd be more than happy to give that stuff away for the right price today. So it's taking up shelf space. You know, then I try to sell quality parts, guys. I don't want to sell a cheap part and it break and see you guys back in 2 weeks and sell you the same part. I try to do as much quality control as I can on the parts we sell. I know that's hard from everything. Can't really control where it all comes from. So, dealers, we're a dealer for performance bodies. Day Motorsports out of Tyler, Texas. We get some stuff from them. Real Wheels, American Racer Tires, obviously. Precision Performance, that's our shock guy. like I said, we do a lot of business together, and I feel he treats us pretty right on our customer support and gets you guys shocks in a decent manner. Weir's Performance, hopefully you guys have all got over and seen what Weir's has to offer. Their stuff is a little bit more expensive than their competitor, but you won't find a better piece. And he's just very innovative. I mean, he has about the best stuff on the market and the nicest piece. Latest technology by far. He's always ahead of the game. So if you guys have not had a chance to get over and look at the quick change rear end, there's a 9-inch Ford right there also for the pinion bracket. A lot of you B-Mod guys, hopefully you guys are on J-bars, not long Panhard bars. Hint, hint. That's a nice piece right there. It's fine-tune adjustment. It's a real good deal. And then back there on that table, we've got some other stuff for A-Mod and B-Mod. Swiveler cups, Panhard bar brackets. There's several catalogs back there. Hopefully you guys can get a catalog too and take with you. So Chad, he's got a real good business, and he's good with his customers too. So Tiger Quick Changes, we're a dealer for those guys. Obviously GRT race cars. VP race fuels. We sell VP 110, 112, alcohol, and late model plus. Fast Shafts and does our drive shafts. We dealer for them. And then they also do 9-inch Ford gears. They have several different types of 9-inch Ford. You can buy your mini spool stuff. They offer a real nice lightweight B-Mod gear. And then the actual one I have over there is like an IMC modified. Full lightweight, polished, and that's about as light as you can get for a gear. So that being said, kind of what everybody's here for today, I guess, is we're going to go through, and I'm just going to kind of go through and give you guys a start to finish on how I scale a race car. There's a lot of details that people forget about, and just things that add up, and at the end of the day makes a big difference. So that's kind of going to go through that. Make sure your guys' cars are fully prepared and race ready when you get ready to put them on the scales. Make sure you go through and make sure all your heims are freed up, your sliders, things like that. Guys who run stock lower control arms, I have several cars that come in this shop, and I'll go to take the front end off or scale a race car, and the lower control arm bolts are tightened all the way down. The lower A-arm will not even move up and down. I mean, some of them, I got to take a pry bar to move on. That's one thing that binds up a race car immediately. And so just make sure that your car is prepared, and it's like you're going to take it to the racetrack when you get ready to scale it. I suggest shocks on the race car. I know that's a big deal for guys. And no driver. Scale it like you're getting ready to race it, except no driver. So make sure the shocks are on the car.
But the weight though?
Yes.
Your weight in the car?
Nope, no driver. No driver, shocks on though. So that's how I've done it. Nope. A lot of guys, if you have an over 200-pound driver, they'll shove 40 pounds in the seat or whatever. Just no driver. That's kind of what I suggest to do. So, and always give your guys self plenty of time to scale a car. It always seems like the last thing you do. I do it at midnight half the time or 1 o'clock in the morning. That's the last thing you can do because you're tired, you don't care, and you always want to give yourself plenty of time to get your car scaled. Fuel, that's a big thing. What I kind of suggest is everybody's got different size fuel cells. You know, I would start out scaling your car with whatever you start the feature with and what you end it with, whatever that average is. Say you start the race with 16 gallon, you end with 12 if you're running gas. I would scale your car with 14 gallon of fuel in it. That way it's consistent. Whatever that number is you guys come up with, whether it's 20 gallon or 12 gallon, just scale your car every single time consistently with the same amount of fuel. That's the biggest thing. Don't ever vary on what you do with fuel. Tires, obviously make sure tire pressures are set, staggers set. If you groove your tires, which I would highly suggest if you run the American Racers, you run USRA, anywhere you can groove your tires, you need to do it. And they need to be done before you scale your car. That's always a big deal. I also hear of guys that have tires just set to scale their car. That way they're the same every time. I don't believe in that. I would just bolt your tires on that you plan on racing that night. If you have a set of feature tires and heat race tires, scale it with your feature tires, pending that they don't vary a lot from your heat to feature tires. You know, it might vary 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch of stagger. That's okay. Just keep it consistent when you do it. Before you put it on the scales, just kind of run through and roughly set your ride heights. As long as they're within 1/4 of an inch, that's pretty close. After you get the ride heights set, go through, do your pinion angle. Get it close, get your bird cage index close for the 4-link guys. This stuff doesn't have to be exact, but you got to do it all together, because when you start messing with pinion angle, bird cage index, that affects your ride heights. So just roughly go through and get all that done. Wheelbase and trail in the back, all that just has to come together, guys, before you can get the car on the scales. But you got to always run through and make sure you're doing that stuff all at the same time. Caster camber, toe, get it roughly set too. Get the front end within 1/2 degree before you get the car on the scales. It doesn't have to be perfect, because when you start adjusting on it to get your numbers all right, that stuff's all going to change and vary just a little bit, not a lot. Remove the left rear axle. A lot of guys don't do that. You don't have to do it, but I would suggest to do it. It just keeps the car from binding up and loading the rear suspension. If you don't take the axle out, because some of the 9-inch Ford guys, it leaks rear end grease everywhere, and I understand that. You either take the axle out, put the cap back on it, or just constantly, every time you make an adjustment on the car, constantly jack the rear end up and settle the rear end to keep the tires from locking and loading the rear suspension. Because if you don't, you're going to get an inaccurate number when you get the car on the scale. So, another thing a lot of guys don't do, and I believe Longacre came out with a tool, I think it's way overpriced. You can take, just cut yourself a set of 12x12 piece of sheet metal before you put the car on the scales, and put it on the scale pad, put on the front tires. That way whenever your car goes down the scales, it helps that sheet metal will relax and move on your scale pads. That way your front tires don't get bound up, because it'll keep the front suspension loaded. So that comes to putting the car on the scales. When you get it back on the scales, check your bite and check your percentages. I've messed with a car before and tried to get my ride heights all done. You put it on the scales, you got 250 pounds of right rear bite. Where I come from, it's not the right way to be. So that's why I always say, just roughly go through, get your ride heights done, get all your stuff, all your numbers, and your bird cage index, your pinion angle, get all that stuff roughly done, put your car on the scales, and then finalize all that stuff. Because that way, hopefully you get your car on the scales and it's somewhat close. I mean, we're talking, the first time when you originally scale your car. Because after you originally scale your car, you should not have to be changing a whole bunch from week to week unless you tore your car up. So get it on the scales, check your bite, go back to ride heights, and then go back through, do your pinion angle. Always keep an eye on your ride heights, make sure they're close to where they're supposed to be. Do your pinion angle, go back, do your bird cage index, go back, and then get your wheelbase. Make sure all that stuff's done, but you got to do it all in small increments together. You don't want to just go and concentrate on one thing and get it right, because you might have to go to the other end of the car and change something, then go back, and then your numbers back here are way off. Your rear end side to side might be off. Your bird cage index, whenever you start messing with your ride heights, is going to be off, or you go side to side in your rear end. So you have to make sure and just do all that stuff. It takes time when you do it, but make sure you do it small steps. So when you're done, always make sure to write your numbers down, which we've got you guys a sheet right here, that kind of a nice cheat sheet. Write it down, make a copy of it, use it. If you guys got your own, then that's great. Go through after you're done, get the car off the scales, go back and get your front end right exactly where you want it. Get your caster camber done, get your toe right. After that, make sure you go back, nut and bolt everything as far as anything you moved. Jam nuts, weight jack nuts, all your swedge tubes. Make sure you get all that stuff back tight so nothing's coming loose when you get to the racetrack.
Where do you measure your ride heights at?
It varies chassis to chassis. When you do that, you can get a lot of guys measure their ride heights from the ground to a certain point on their chassis. When you get all that done, I would advise is picking a spot on the lower control arm and going to the frame. That way when you're at the racetrack, and hopefully you're on somewhat level ground, that way you have a spot you can go back. If you want to change a spring or something happens at the racetrack, you break right front suspension, gets torn off of it. That way you have a pinpoint to go back and you can measure your ride height and not be relying on going to the ground in the dirt and coming up to a spot where you usually measure your ride height in the shop. So always kind of the pinpoint. Rear end's pretty simple. Top of the housing to the bottom of the underslung. If you don't measure your ride heights like that from the get-go, I would use that as your spot to measure that once you get your car set. The front end, like I said, you could just put a mark on the chassis somewhere and go from the A-arm and just get that and then write those numbers down. That way, like I said, if you ever have problems at the racetrack, you got something to lean on to get your car right to go run the feature that night if that's what would happen. So,
What was overslung?
top of the housing to the bottom of the overslung. That's about the best way you could do that. So, or you can make a mark on the on your overslung somewhere like that. So anywhere that's just consistent to where you don't have to rely on the ground. If you measure your ride height from the ground to your 2-link bracket or somewhere in there, that we don't have to rely on that measurement. So.
Base your car on a 10 scale and make adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, here's another thing, guys, and people don't believe me, but I'll go race 5 different racetracks in 5 different nights, and people think you got to throw in on different size racetracks, different surfaces. Guys think you have to change your race car for each track you go to. Me personally, I tell every customer I have, and I do it myself, I'll take the same baseline setup to every single racetrack I go to in this country for the most part. There's a handful of racetracks you come across, and I mean, I can go to 50 different racetracks in a season, but there might be a handful of those that you actually have to do something just off the wall different. But for the most part, you can go run Lakeside, you can go run Winston, Harlem Park, Mayetta. All those racetracks are going to take very, very similar setup. So once you have a good baseline setup and something you're competitive with, you take that, you go back home the next day. If guy scales his car every single time you guys go to the racetrack, just put it right back to that baseline setup, put your bars back that you changed the night previous, your adjustment that you may have made, the track slicked off and you tightened your car up or whatever, put those adjustments back, put the car on the scales, and go with that same baseline setup to the next night. It's not rocket science, guys. People think they got to put 4 springs and 4 shocks and move everything around to go the next night, and it's not needed. So just keep it simple. Don't get yourself out in left field by overthinking the whole process. So it happens often. So like I said, guys, if you guys got any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them one-on-one. I appreciate you guys for coming. Feel free to stick around as long as you want. We'll be here till I go to bed, whenever that is.
Girls like fast cars too. Believe me, girls. Yeah, girls like fast cars too.